Oh, we're live. We're live, and we're feeling the vibes. The summer vibes.
Summer vibes, baby.
Ready for the Euros. Delayed a year. We're finally here. We're ready.
We're here. We're live. Premiership Perusal Podcast presents Lads on Tour.
So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be previewing the Euros. What we're mainly going to be doing, as this is the Premiership Perusal Podcast, me and Sam are going to be highlighting primarily Premier League players in each squad, signifying what their role is going to be, how they contribute to their team's kind of like play style.
What kind of vibes they give to the team.
Yeah, what kind of vibes, because as we all know, national football, I mean, it's all about vibes, national team football.
Pure vibes.
So we'll start off, Group A, we have Turkey. You want to start off with the players, Sam?
Yeah, so the players I'm looking at in this squad are Soyuncu from Leicester, your guy Okay Yakuzlu of West Brom. Of course, he's
in the championship now.
Yeah, I think he was on loan anyways, but
yeah,
we'll throw him in there for a cheeky laugh.
Him.
And then there's, I think it's pronounced Cengiz Under.
Mm-hmm.
He was on loan at Leicester, and he didn't really do much.
Yeah, it's kind of hard in terms of they already have their main attackers. Plus,
yeah,
I feel like you're always, even if you're Leicester, if you have younger depth pieces, you're probably more likely to give them playing time than
a guy on loan.
Yeah, that's what.
I've also read that this guy is kind of like super lazy and has a bad attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably doesn't help either.
But you can't forget about the Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
When he was going off in the Champions League. Turkey, their manager, he was a previous manager for them. Was it 2002?
Yeah, back in 2002.
Yeah.
Third in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. They're more of a 4-1-4-1. They kind of settle back into a 4-2-3-1 on defense in their own lower block, but what they're going to be doing, generally playing the counter. They're really going to be feeding balls and going through Çalhanoğlu, former Leverkusen and AC Milan man, up top. And we'll just get right into what that means. I mean, if you're playing on the counter, you're going to be relying on your center backs, right, Sam?
Yeah, I think the passing range from Soyuncu definitely is going to help. Also, the ball playing ability. That'll be a nice asset for them. I mean, they have Yilmaz, the guy that's like 38.
Legend.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he'll play, but, moral support.
He's definitely getting subbed on and just getting a goal for no reason.
But overall, a trend on this squad is they have the youngest average age out of any team at the Euros. So, maybe high energy, or maybe it'll be terrible. Who knows?
Yeah, the lack of experience. All I know is that of the non-Premier League guys, they have some solid players, I would say, especially in the midfield. They're not any like world-class names, but if you look at their stats and stuff in their domestic leagues, they have above-average players. The main thing I would say might be kind of hard to come by might be goals, but, I mean, they have a couple Premier League defenders and an attacker, and I guess one former Premier League midfielder, but I don't know. I think they could be kind of sneaky.
Yeah, I think they kind of have no expectations on them. So
yeah.
That kind of benefits them.
Plus, I feel like some people might feel like other teams in the group will easily walk past them, but
right.
We'll get to the next team. This is going to be the filet mignon of the group right here.
Italia.
Italia.
Mamma mia.
I should have said some Italian dish. This is gonna be the
Arrivederci.
This is gonna be the linguine of the group.
This is going to be the pasta.
So, starting off, Emerson still at Chelsea. I've been rumored away for a long time now, it feels like. He just doesn't get as much playing time as he did early on. And he's a solid player, but, the wing back kind of pushes forward more, not really much of a defender. And, I mean, Chelsea have their ways now of they kind of like guys that are a little more defensive-minded.
Yeah.
Midfielder, Jorginho, a few years back, big decision between Italy and Brazil for him, and we'll see how this goes for him. He's a key cog for Italy. I know that I guess he's going to be first choice over Locatelli. I like Jorginho, but Sam, let me tell you something about Locatelli. I love that man. Yeah,
I saw that the predicted lineups for midfield are Barella, Jorginho, and Verratti in there. And I've heard a lot about Locatelli.
Yeah.
I haven't seen too much of him, but he's only 23.
He's just so good at winning the ball and then getting it forward. It's just incredible. I hope he comes to a Premier League team. I hate to say it, but he's probably going to end up going to Juventus, which stinks for us, but I would love that man. He'd be really good next to Thomas Partey.
Oh, hey.
A little yin and yang for you, but
you got to pay money to buy players.
That's,
So he's gone to Aston Villa, is what you're telling me.
Oh, man. No forwards for them. It's primarily just going to be out of Syria for the forwards. They're going to be relying heavy on Ciro Immobile and Berardi as well. Obviously, Insigne is probably their second best player, or at least their star player, I would say, behind Verratti, but what are your initial thoughts on Italy's squad?
I think Italy, they haven't been that great for a while. Yeah. I think this is kind of like a rejuvenation of the Italian squad. I don't think there's too much expectations for them. So I could see them coming out.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of quality on their squad, though.
Yeah, I think that the expectations for normal people, they might not think much of Italy, but I think Italy themselves have high expectations. I think that they'd probably
that's a good point.
They'd probably expect semifinal. It's not even saying they're a top 4 team. I would probably say that they could be a top 4 team in the competition on any given day.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we'll get to it, but I think some teams are a little more of the teams that people think are really good. They're a little more shaky than
it's definitely a year where the teams that are normally good maybe aren't to that level as what they were.
Yeah.
And there's room for other teams to come up, and I think this is a team that can
definitely step up if they're in form and stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we'll touch on Premier League players, obviously, but we have a former Premier League manager, Sam. Mr. Mancini.
Mr. Mancini. I'm a big fan of Mancini.
Yeah, I like him
too.
His
time at Man City was pretty good.
For sure. All right. Moving on. Or did you want to talk about anything? Did you want to talk about their formation?
No. I mean, it's just pretty standard Italy. They want to control the possession a lot, going through Jorginho in the midfield.
And then willing to sit back if they have to because their defense is so good. But
yeah,
we'll see.
That's pretty much that. I mean, nothing too crazy on the age or the caps. They're kind of middle of the road for both.
Mm-hmm. Now we got a team that we can really sink our teeth into.
Yes,
finally.
Yes, a nice one for all those Premier League fans out there. Wales, huge tournament last Euros, where they went out in the semifinals to the eventual winners, Portugal. It's just a fun team to watch. I really fell in love with the team.
I agree.
I was watching closely because of Aaron Ramsey,
and
I really enjoyed watching them play, watching him and Gareth Bale run the show.
I think looking back at 2016, I think a lot of people would obviously have Iceland as their main kind of Cinderella team, but I think Wales would probably be second or third. Most people would say they're definitely enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, a lot of Premier League players, which would be expected on this. A A sore spot for them, I think, is going to be in the goalkeeping position. I mean,
How dare you?
Wayne Hennessy doesn't play. Adam Davies, I don't know if he starts for Stoke. I would think he probably does.
Yeah.
And Danny Ward, who has been the starting goalkeeper for Wales, obviously he doesn't start for Leicester. So I think that'll be interesting to see. Then moving into defense,
Just real quick on Danny Ward. In their game against France, he made a couple really nice saves. Not that it mattered because they still lost 3-0, but...
Yeah,
I mean,
it's good to have.
Yes.
So moving on to the defenders, they have Ben Davies from Tottenham, another guy, hasn't been playing that much this season.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rodon. I don't know how to say it.
I think it's Rodon is
Rodon.
how they say it. The Swansea man.
I mean, he's played a little bit, but not a key feature in that team. And then,
which is tough when you're a defender and that team stinks at defense and you can't get in.
Right. And then Nico Williams from Liverpool. He played a bit, but again, not a whole lot. He's a young guy, doesn't have much experience. So
he actually got a red in that game against France early on. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I did see that. He got sent off.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was probably handball, but since it's a friendly, and they took it felt like 10 minutes during VAR to decide it was a handball. It's just like an up close shot in the box, and it hit his
right.
arms.
I saw someone from the French team was like, "No, don't send him off," because I mean, it's playing a friendly 11v10. Like, what is this? Just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And then they're, one of their stronger points, midfield. Ramsey, former Arsenal player. Ampadu with Chelsea on loan to Sheffield United. He might get some minutes in this tournament. Matthew Smith, youngster from Man City. Former Premier League player. Joe Allen.
Oh,
big Joe Allen fan.
Well, Xavi.
That's right. Harry Wilson, former Liverpool youth product, also played with Bournemouth. And then Dylan Levitt, Manchester United youngster.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, strong part of their game.
Oh, yeah. I would say this is probably what I rely on more than the midfield.
True.
And I mean, a lot of it's, we'll get to it, but I think a lot will be on Bale, but they have good quality here. But I'll let you continue.
Yeah, Dan James, Tyler Roberts, and Gareth Bale. Definitely quality players there. They're going to rely on Gareth Bale, so we'll see how much he can handle.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be doing so much going forward, whether it's out wide, just even more central too as well. He's going to be doing whatever they need to do to get him on the ball and playing other people into space. And whether those people are setting him up or he's playing them in, I mean, I'm sure it'll go either way, but there's so much on Ramsey and Bale because they don't have other world-class guys. They have some younger guys that are good and just some even more experienced guys that are solid, but it's going to be, the depth isn't quite there, but they make up for that with some very nice star power.
Yeah, and Aaron Ramsey will get forward in this team as seen in 2016. He gets forward a lot. I mean, more than you would expect him to, more than he would in a club game. He almost plays as a forward sometimes.
Yeah.
So, a lot on them. Dan James, I think he'll be a good fit into the team. He's fast and creative.
Out wide. I wonder what they're going to do as far as like the attackers in terms of lining up, because there's not one that particularly stands out necessarily because they're all just pretty good. Kiefer Moore, 20 goals in the championship this last year.
Yeah,
so he did pretty well. Dan James, we saw him at the end of the year. Form picked up a little bit. Tyler Roberts just had an all-around pretty decent year for Leeds.
Pretty good.
And even, I know at times they'll play Harry Wilson as almost like a false nine.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if they'll be doing that. But it'll just be interesting to see who they want to pair with Bale going forward as the main attackers for the side.
Yeah, I think it'll work really nicely though. a guy like Dan James who likes to get in behind suits this squad so perfectly because, I mean, you're going to have the ball played forward quick, maybe to Bale or someone else, and then Dan James can get in behind.
Well, let's just hope Dan James isn't Timo Verner or Alvaro Morata.
He did have that shocking miss at the end of the season.
Against Wolves, that was
class. He'll have to pass to someone else.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing, is he gets in behind and he waits, lays it off.
So overall notes, they like to play a 5-4-1, mix of youth and experience, compact defense, sharp, quick passing going forward.
Absolutely.
Which was a key staple of their run in 2016.
Yeah, another quick note. They went away from 5 at the back for a little bit between last Euros and this Euro, and now they're just back to it. They're like, okay, well, this is what works best for us.
Yeah, I think it suits them well having a lot of width. Get those wing backs going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the big issue with this team that I see is their manager. I mean, they had Ryan Giggs, and then
no Giggsy.
He got into some issues.
Yep, off the field. Yeah, no, I do like this squad, though.
Yeah, I do too. I think they definitely can compete with the likes of Turkey and Switzerland.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if, I think a lot of people just pencil in Switzerland for the second spot. And
yeah.
I mean, we saw their friendly against USA. We'll get to Switzerland coming up here, but yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about who's going to be where and whatnot. But
so, moving on to the aforementioned Switzerland.
Only a handful of Premier League players on this side. No goalies. They're either in, well, I guess Jan Sommer, their main keeper from the Bundesliga, obviously with Mönchengladbach. As far as defenders, they're going to have a lot going on. Manuel Akanji of Borussia Dortmund. An important piece might just kind of be like a depth piece or third choice center back for him. But Fabian Schär of Newcastle, we've seen he's had some quality. I mean, come on, you saw that banger. Was that against Burnley a couple of years ago? And he took a penalty for him this year. He's clearly goal scoring is his forte, right?
I think he'll be a first choice center back. I think the only issue is his fitness, whether he's fully fit or not. So we'll see. Then moving on to midfield, Granit Xhaka kind of controls everything in the midfield. Another player from the Premier League, Xherdan Shaqiri, who hasn't played barely at all this season, which says a lot when you have so many guys injured and you can't even get into the team.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of their injuries were more in defense and midfield, and Shaqiri's a little more of an attacker. At least that's how I view him, as more as a winger. But, I mean, yeah, he has to play a little more of a defensive role for Switzerland. Not like he's sitting back as a 6 or anything, but he does have to drop back sometimes.
Switzerland will do their fair share of defending.
Yeah, they have high work rate, so and they demand that out of all their guys. As far as the forwards, none of them. They're really going to rely on Seferovic. We've seen that in the past. They have Mbolo off the bench who can provide a spark, but
yeah, I think that'll be their weak spot. They might struggle for goals, but I think they'll be good in defense, so won't give up too many either.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a team effort when it comes to goal scoring because they don't have anyone that really stands out. But they make up for it with a good defensive-minded midfield with Djibril Sow and Steven Zubar from Frankfurt.
How about your guy, Mehmedi?
Mehmedi.
Big fan.
Big fan, yes.
Not too much about that other than...
Yeah, they're just going to be relying on their defense.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of it's going to come down to, how well they can...
grab a goal or two and try and win that way. Or
Yeah. I
don't think you'll see them scoring 5.
No, and it feels like whenever they're playing, they end up somehow working a goal, whether it's one of the midfielders or Seferovic scores for them. They always kind of find a way to work a goal, but sometimes it's a little hard to come by for them.
Yeah. I mean, they did have that convincing victory against the United States of America men's national team with one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Serginho Dest.
I was going to say Dest.
I mean, he was out of position.
First game I watched in a while for the U.S., and it was not pretty.
John Brooks was not happy with him. That is for sure. So give me your predictions for this Group A.
I'm going to go Italy, Turkey, Switzerland, Wales. And I don't feel great about it.
Oh, interesting.
Because I was thinking Wales third, but I don't know if I can put the Swiss down.
Switzerland has gotten out of the group stage like every time since, I don't know.
I don't know if this is this one of the groups where if they get third, they can advance, though?
It might be like certain groups.
Yeah. I don't know if this is one of them.
I can't remember.
But
my prediction is going to be Italy, clear and above over everyone else.
Yes, not even close.
And I'm going to say Wales.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Wales can do it. I think they'll be good going forward.
Well, we've seen it.
And then Switzerland, I think they'll just be lacking of goals. And then Turkey, I think, is just too inexperienced.
That's fair.
Moving on to Group B.
Yeah, Group B.
First team, Denmark.
Denmark, main piece for them, obviously, is one of the main pieces for Leicester. When you think of Denmark, when you think of Leicester, Kasper Schmeichel. Their backup, Lössl, was on Mainz, now at Everton. Been there for a couple of years now, just kind of chilling as a backup.
Got in a couple games.
Yeah. Defenders, they have a few of them. Christensen from Chelsea, Vestergaard from Southampton, and Anderson, who's on Fulham. Some quality there. Christensen, more of a guy who can play out of the back. Not always the best defender, but definitely shows some top quality at times. Vestergaard, I mean, Southampton's defense was not very good this year, but I wouldn't put that mainly on his shoulders. I would say he's one of the reasons that it was
I think he's
bright spots.
I think he's solid.
Yeah. And then Anderson, we saw him this year.
He's a quality player.
Yeah, he is definitely a quality player. It'll be interesting to see how they, and we'll talk about how they line up, but of the three center backs, who's going to be first on the team sheet and whatnot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know what kind of formation they play. Do they play a back five or? I
want to say that. Oh gosh, because they didn't play or did they play a game recently?
I think that would just suit them nicely. A back five with those three solid center backs.
They did play against Germany. I just remembered. Yeah, it finished 1-1. Let's look at the lineup. They went with the 4-3-3, and their fullbacks, wingbacks are a little more attacking minded.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think they'll be needing to do a lot of defending. So.
They actually had Simon Kjær from AC Milan as the other top choice for him. So, but we were talking about with Italy earlier. Locatelli was playing over Verratti and stuff. Doesn't mean that they're first choice, but it'll definitely be interesting to see because they definitely have options going forward. Midfield, former Premier League player Christian Eriksen is going to be their main catalyst for the attack, getting it from their end forward. They have some nice holding midfield pieces they're just professional players. How else do you want to say it? Thomas Delaney, good ball winner, nice physical player. Been rumored to Southampton. It'd be interesting to see him in the Premier League. I think his play style would really mesh well. Former Southampton player Pierre-Emile Højbjerg on Tottenham now. One of the better ball winners in the Premier League. Then a couple Brentford players. So we'll get a preview of them more so on a bigger stage with brighter lights. And Matthias Jensen and Christian Norgaard. I know that Jensen's one of their main cogs in midfield. No real attackers out of the Premier League for them. A lot of them are going to be they're either going to be smaller players at bigger clubs, or they're going to be bigger players but at small clubs like Copenhagen. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think overall they have a pretty decent squad. You know,
They definitely do.
They have some quality defenders, quality midfielders, and quality forwards, guys like Poulsen, Braithwaite. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Kind of, again, average age 27, which is 16th youngest. Average caps 12th most.
Unfortunately, we'll get a better look at them tomorrow when they play Bosnia. So we might get a better idea then on exactly how they might line up. And even then, like, maybe they'll rest guys before the Euros. You don't want to...
Some teams are playing guys that aren't even in the squads, like England, for example. But next team, moving on to Finland. Any thoughts on Finland?
I mean, other than the MLS players that we got in here, no. You know, they start off with a strong goalkeeper in Herdecki. I mean, he's Bundesliga. I'm not really going to talk about him. He's a pretty good player. As far as defenders, there's not a ton. What we're mainly going to be looking at is the forwards, and we know what time it is.
It's Pukki time.
It's Pukki time. Teemu Pukki is going to be their main goal scorer, obviously, as he is for Norwich. Another main attacker for him, another Brentford man, Marcus Forss. He, I want to say, was mainly a sub at Brentford, but he did play a ton. I think he played like 40-something games in the championship alone, so clearly an important player. It'll be nice to get a preview of him as well. Is there anyone that stands out to you on this team other than maybe just any non-Premier League players?
I think for me it's just mostly like how hard can Timo Pukki carry this team, which I don't think will be very hard. It's kind of like him being on Norwich in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But who knows? He might score a hat-trick, you know.
I wouldn't rule it out.
It's possible. But
anything's possible with Pukki.
I definitely think they're favorites for last in the group.
Mm-hmm. Just not enough quality around Pukki in terms of getting him the ball.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're just happy to be there, sorts of deal.
But sometimes when you think that, those are the teams that'll shock you.
That's true. Yeah, they could be dangerous.
Now we get to the thoroughbred of the group right here.
Yeah, one of the favorites for the tournament.
Yep. We got Belgium. Start off with Thibaut Courtois, former Premier League player, Chelsea. Mignolet, former Liverpool stopper. I think even Mats Sells was on Newcastle, but that was on the championship. Doesn't matter. Another defender that's in the Premier League is going to be Toby Alderweireld for Tottenham. Down year for him this year. Down year for Tottenham in general, as far as defense specifically. But, I mean, he's been a staple for Belgium, him with former Tottenham player Jan Vertonghen. But what do you think about...
Yeah, Vertonghen definitely getting up there in age. I'm pretty amazed that Thomas Vermaelen still gets called up while playing in Japan.
He's in the Japanese league.
I think this will definitely be an area where they might struggle.
Yeah, if there was an area for sure. And then even like other guys are going to be relying on. Boyata's a little inexperienced at Hertha. I know that the man from Lyon, he's actually pretty good, and he's a vital player for...
Denier.
Yeah, for Lyon.
He was a former Man City youth.
He was.
Yeah.
Going to the midfield, Castagna's going to be kind of like a wing-back defender kind of guy. So
yeah, kind of funny that they listed him as a midfielder.
Yeah,
but
he's going to be going up. I know that, I guess Atalanta played him as a wing-back too, but I think normally he's technically like a left mid, right mid kind of guy. But former Premier League player, one of your 5 favorite players of all time, Nasser Chadli, on Istanbul Başakşehir now. The main piece.
Kevin De Bruyne.
He
just had surgery, they announced.
On his face. He's going to miss the opening game.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to see what his status is. I mean, when you have surgery on your face.
Yeah, and I think that they're going to be playing the second best team first off. So, a little unlucky, but I'm sure they'll manage.
They have the quality to get through.
Yes. Den Donker on this team, Praet on this team, Tielemans on this team. Of those three, Tielemans obviously probably get in more, but they just have such important guys going forward. Carrasco, who honestly has been playing a little more of a defensive role for Atletico this year after being kind of like a more forward winger for him. He went away, comes back. Torgan Hazard, kind of a little more of an attacker. Meunier, a little more of a defender. Witzel will be more of a six for him. So they have a very nice midfield, very balanced, and then the main thing is that they have a world-class player in there, and that's what makes them big-time players.
Yeah, a lot of depth in that midfield.
Absolutely. To the forwards, we do have some Premier League talent as well here. Michy Batshuayi, who, what did Roy Hodgson say earlier this year? It was like, Michy Batshuayi was like, Belgium can trust me, but Palace can, or whatever. And and then Roy Hodgson came out and said, you can score against like Moldova, but you can't score against, he said, like some Premier League team.
Yeah, not a good season for him. I mean,
no.
When you're not playing much for Crystal Palace, that's a little
it's pretty rough.
Scary.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they move him, or let him move, I suppose. Christian Benteke, speaking of Palace, kind of finding his form again this year after he's in the wilderness for a while. It's dark times for Christian Benteke.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big Benteke fan.
I know, you're not a Benteke guy, but he did produce at Villa, and then he had only a few moments at Liverpool, goes to Palace. It's been more of a rough transition. Trossard, also there. Good secondary playmaker. Probably won't play, really.
It's a good option off the bench, though, if you're looking for a goal.
Absolutely. He can spark something. Main thing, Romelu Lukaku, one of the better strikers in the world for Inter Milan. Dries Mertens, still world-class at Napoli. Eden Hazard, former Chelsea man, big-time player. I mean, Lukaku's former Chelsea player too, but Eden Hazard more recently.
Now he's just a big player.
Yeah, he's just big. He was big-time, and now he's just big. As far as, there's not much to say about them, only because they're just so balanced.
Yeah,
and
the notes I have just is that they have the oldest squad and the most caps, which makes sense. And looking at their squad, looking at the ages of their players, you'd think this tournament and maybe the next World Cup in Qatar would be kind of the end of their golden generation. Mm-hmm. So I think if they're going to win trophies,
it's going to be coming up now.
Now is the time to do it because, I mean, a guy like Mertens.
Yeah, he's already 36, 35.
Yeah, he's up there. I mean, Benteke is older.
Benteke. I mean, we'll see about Lukaku. He has a game where he could easily transition to not just relying on pure athleticism, but
then especially in defense, they're aging.
Yeah, when you still have Vertonghen and Arsenal legend Thomas Vermaelen on the bench, it's a little rough. But
yeah,
I mean they should win this group comfortably, and really, if they don't get to the final, it's a massive disappointment. Before we end on that, I just want to point out former Premier League manager again, Roberto Martinez,
the man with amazing dance moves.
Yes.
Love that guy.
The Champions League host on CBS Sports.
The absolute legend for winning a FA Cup with Wigan.
Oh, yeah. That was top class.
That was amazing.
Get Rex City. Moving on. This is a team we probably won't spend very much time on. Russia. Do they have any Premier League? I don't think they have any Premier League.
Niet.
Spasiba. Yeah, there's not a ton that stands out to me. Golovin he hasn't been quite as great on Monaco as you might have thought, but they have some alright playmakers. Zuba will always get you a goal. He's kind of like a Chris Wood kind of striker.
Yeah, he's going to be like their main focal point going forward.
The Moranchuks, they're pretty good, but it's going to mainly be they take a lot from their domestic league, which it's not that surprising. I mean,
yeah, it's just they lack quality players playing in the top leagues.
Yeah, so. But I mean, they still get results. Will they get 8th in the last World Cup? Well, because they beat Spain on pens, right? Does that sound right?
Oh, wow, that
I'm
feels like
almost
it was
positive.
ages ago.
I'm almost positive they got because then they lost to England on. I almost want to say they lost on pens to England.
Yeah,
They did get to the
maybe.
final 8. If they do that again, I'd probably be surprised. Yeah, they're not quite as good as years past. For that group, Belgium and then Denmark. I mean,
Yeah, I would think so. I mean,
Russian third.
we'll see what Russia can do.
In case they somehow they're one of the teams or the third place gets through to the knockout round. But yeah, moving on. Group C. Group C. We'll start off. Sam's wearing the Iron Robin kit.
That's right. That does not mean I have any faith in this team because they are managed by Frank de Boer, who is one of the worst managers I've ever seen.
I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is, but I'm
He's
sure it can't be that bad.
On a scale of 1 to dumpster fire, I think it's like, I don't know. What's worse than dumpster fire?
He's hot garbage. We'll put it at that.
Yeah, he is hot garbage.
Netherlands, Tim Krul, backup, but
Yeah.
who got subbed on in the last?
Yeah, that was Tim Krul to save the penalties.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was great.
Patrick van Aanholt at Palace, been rumored to a bunch of teams, so I'm sure he'll stay in the Premier League. It's just a matter of
That's
where.
Patrick John Miguel van Aanholt to you.
Yeah. Nathan Ake, more of a depth piece for City, but we've seen his quality at Bournemouth, City, and Chelsea, really. Important player for their defense. As a former Premier League player, Daley Blind, important to playing out of the back. They have Joel Veltman as well. Kind of can be a center back, but also can be a full back as well, mainly a right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly they do have, say what you want about their terrible manager. They have some very nice pieces in defense with Matthias de Ligt and Stefan de Vrij, both of Syria.
Yeah.
Moving on, midfield, Donny van de Beek. One of my guys.
Yeah.
One of my guys.
Not the best start to his Premier
Man
League
U,
career, but
still quality in there. A lot of it's going to be, it's the Netherlands, so it's going to always be Ajax for a lot of it, but Van de Beek, De Jong, Klaassen,
Wijnaldum.
Yeah, well,
are you talking about Ajax guys?
I was talking about Ajax guys, but
all right. Well, maybe he'll go to Ajax one day.
But Gini Wijnaldum going to be a huge piece for them in midfield. Still sorting out his contract, whether it's with PSG or Barca, but it looks like he's going to be departing the Premier League, which is unfortunate because he's a good player, enjoyable player to watch. One guy I really like that they have that I don't think he's going to start or anything, but Koopman Miners. He's a pretty good player. I like him. I think he'd be good in the Premier League.
Koopman Miners.
Former Premier League player as well, Martin de Roon.
He's on Middlesbrough, wasn't he?
Yes, and he didn't really adjust.
No.
Yeah, but he's a good. He's a good player for Atlanta now.
Good times.
Going forward for him, anything, Sam, that stands out to you? There's no Premier League players.
Former Premier League player Memphis Depay.
There we go.
I think he's kind of their focal point going forward. Also, former Arsenal youth product Daniel Malin,
yeah, he's pretty good.
He had a pretty good season at PSV, and then I think he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Luke de Jong, former Newcastle player.
Yes.
And then a guy I've heard some praise for is Wout Weghorst from Wolfsburg.
Wout Weghorst.
Yeah. So he'll be one to watch out for.
Yeah, he's definitely a good goal scorer. I'd say he's top 5 in the Bundesliga. Could arguably be third behind Haaland and Lewandowski, but anything that stands out to you about this team? I really like their squad, player-wise.
They've just been so bad lately, like the past
I
how
know.
many years. It's just been awful.
Yeah, it feels like with Koeman, they had moments where they're turning it around, and then there's still, even with Koeman, there's inconsistencies. But I don't know. I like the talent, but talent doesn't always translate to winning football on the field. So it'll be interesting to see, but I have a hard time trusting De Boer.
And not to mention they're missing a key leader in Virgil van Dijk in this squad.
True, world-class player for him.
those are the kind of guys you look for in international tournaments to guide maybe the younger players. Or
Even just to step up and kind of carry a bigger load than.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even without him, I still really like their defense, but it could change how they want to play going forward. Is there any way that they don't win the group? What percent chance would you say they don't win the group?
Percent chance that they don't win the group is probably like maybe like 20%. Maybe 15. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there's
it's
the teams they're going up against
yeah,
aren't great, but it'll be more like, does the Netherlands beat themselves?
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, because the quality's there.
But what do you think is a successful tournament for the Netherlands this year?
I would say they'll probably hold themselves to semifinal. I would say quarterfinal, just because De Boer. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
But they definitely have really good defenders, in my opinion. And they have guys that are more like defending minded, but can get forward from a wingback position. I always really like that. But yeah, I have a hard time because De Boer. And who knows? I mean, this is his first major tournament as the Netherlands manager, but
yeah,
maybe it'll be different for him.
I mean, they should have no problem getting through the group, so maybe they can build a little momentum, get a little warm up.
It's just, I mean, did you watch their game of Scotland?
No, I didn't see it.
It's just silly mistakes, and it's like, is this how you're gonna play? Really?
Yeah.
It's annoying to watch because, like I said, we like the talent, but 2-2 draw Scotland. That's when you know it's like, oh boy. Maybe they use that as like a sign. They're like, okay, we almost lost to Scotland, and they only drew because of 88th minute free kick from Depay. So.
Yeah. Moving on to the Eastern Bloc, Ukraine.
Oh boy, this is jam packed full of Premier League talent, as you know. No, but they have a couple guys. Zinchenko for Man City, massive player for Man City. A couple years ago, you might have not really thought that. You might think he might kind of flame out.
Yeah, he's kind of like an unsung hero of Man City, I would say. But he fits so well into Pep Guardiola's system of having fullbacks that come more into a midfield role.
Yeah, the positional play really he fits in perfectly with that. Knows where to be, has the skill set to be able to do what they request of him and stuff.
Yeah, and for this Ukraine team, he'll be in that midfield instead of a fullback.
In the defense, yeah, because they need him there.
Yeah, it definitely helps going forward. Another guy, Yarmolenko, hasn't played all that much for West Ham. He was an important player a couple of seasons ago. Yeah, he scored some goals.
It was less that he was important in terms of he was playing a lot, but he scored some goals when they really needed him to score goals. That's more what it is. I mean, he's kind of a one-trick pony. He was at Dortmund and he is at West Ham, where he gets on that side and then he has a sharp cut towards like more the middle near the top of the box.
It's like a dollar store Arjen Robben.
Yeah, pretty much. He's a bargain bin Robin for sure. They have a couple just solid players. I know that the Atalanta guy they have is pretty good, and Marlos for Shakhtar's had a couple good Champions League campaigns, but a lot of their guys are going to be coming from their domestic league as well in Ukraine, which, believe it or not, I don't have time to watch.
Yeah, most players come in from Shakhtar or Dynamo Kiev.
What about I think there's one Dnipro guy?
Dnipro won.
Yes.
However you say one. And
not the other Dnipro that got to the Europa League final in 2015, unfortunately. But pretty young squad. Yeah, there's not a ton to say about him because there's only a few. If Yarmolenko's playing for him, he does provide a nice attacking piece, though, for him. He might give him a chance at winning a game, but...
Yeah, that could give the Netherlands a scare, maybe.
I wouldn't rule it
out.
I wouldn't rule it out. You never know that.
At Eastern European grit against the soft tulip lovers of the Netherlands.
Yeah, Ukraine is the Stoke City of this competition.
Oh, look at this. We have our tulips and our...
Well, if they're playing with the clogs.
And the clogs. Inga-dinga-dargan.
Moving on. After that one, moving on to Austria. I just talked about in the last pod for the review/preview, mentioned Watford. Daniel Bachmann.
Yes.
The Austrian goalie. Pretty good player. We'll get a better look at him with the Euros. Is there anyone else? Am I missing anyone?
From the Premier League, or?
Yeah. Because I know that they obviously have a bunch of players from the Bundesliga, and I think they have a few from their own domestically, but a lot of it's going to be the Bundesliga. I know that
former player for Stoke and West Ham, Arnautovic.
Oh, yes.
Currently playing for Shanghai Port. So see how he's doing, if he's up for the task. I mean, he's kind of a guy who...
I don't know. He's one of those guys where in the Bundesliga he had not a great work rate, and then he went to West Ham and he was more like almost like a false nine or a wing at times. He was like primarily a forward for them at West Ham, and even at Stoke he was more just like a midfield kind of guy. Could go back as well, but so he's definitely versatile. But to be fair, that was a while back, and now he's in China.
Yeah,
again, another league I don't watch, the Super Chinese League.
Another guy is Sabitzer. He's not in the Premier League, but I think he definitely could be in the next year or two. I could see him making a move.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a good team for him would be Tottenham.
Yeah, he's been heavily linked to Tottenham.
Yeah,
Arsenal perhaps also interested.
Yeah, he wouldn't be bad at Arsenal either if they can't come to terms with Real Madrid over Odegaard.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good upgrade on Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, definitely. He's a little more attacking minded in terms of going towards goal than Xhaka. Xhaka obviously is attacking minded in terms of facilitating the ball going forward, which Sabitzer does as well. He's just not as deep.
Yeah.
But they're definitely similar qualities in the players. Is there anything else that really stands out about this team? They're just kind of solid. They do have, I would say, star power. David Alaba.
Yeah.
It's more so Alaba when he's a fullback is probably considered a star. I don't think you'd consider him a star if you're thinking of him as like more of a mid or,
which is what he plays with the national team.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, we'll see. I think there's a good chance that they could finish second in the group.
Absolutely. I think that they'd probably be favorites for second. I think there's sneaky potential to be first. Yeah,
they're definitely the team that I could see getting in first over the Netherlands if they are a little out of whack.
Even if it's not they beat the Netherlands directly, they take care of business against Ukraine and Macedonia, and then the Netherlands just have a slip up against Ukraine or Macedonia.
They get mugged off by the next team, which we're going to talk about, North Macedonia, making their first appearance in this tournament.
Respect.
The key player for this team is going to be Alioski from Leeds United.
Yeah.
He's got a little fighting spirit in him.
Yes.
We'll say. He
almost reminds me of a way of Ryan Fraser. Maybe it's just because he's smaller and he's kind of a little scrappy guy. Yeah. But no, I mean, he's a good player for Leeds. He's going to be asked to do more, I would suspect, by Macedonia.
For sure.
But there's not much to say about them. They have Elmas from Napoli, formerly of Fenerbahce, a good midfielder. He would probably be a guy that's more in like the bottom half of the table, Premier League quality, but he's like a 10 for them. And then they have Goran Pandev, who's pretty much North Macedonia's version of Yilmaz for Turkey. He's just like an older guy that has a lot of experience,
right?
But quality's still there just because he has so much experience.
Yeah, I think they'll just kind of be happy to be there. Maybe take a point or two off of, maybe Ukraine or the Netherlands or Austria. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I mean, a guy like Alioski, his game really suits the national team kind of style, and that he's got that fierce competitiveness, and he can also frustrate opposing players. So,
yes. Well, interesting enough, even though it was a while back, North Macedonia and Austria were in the same qualifying group and played. So there's a little experience there. Austria won 2-1. I mean, obviously it's a whole half a year difference, so there's going to be form's going to be different. Tactics might even change a little bit going forward.
Didn't Macedonia beat Germany like 2-1 or something?
That does sound familiar. That definitely does sound familiar. Oh, and then Macedonia also. Well, I guess they played Austria before and lost 4-1. So a couple games here between two teams in the group, which you don't see all that often. But any predictions? Just Netherlands and Austria for that one. That one's going chalk, I would assume.
Yeah, Netherlands, Austria.
I really don't feel
Ukraine,
good saying the Netherlands are going to be
Macedonia.
the best in the group.
I'd like to see a Ukraine upset. Maybe sneak into second or something.
That'd be interesting.
I feel like they always are kind of an interesting team that maybe gets underrated because they don't have the star names, but they seem to be a team that has good chemistry.
Yeah, good chemistry, and they can just pull moments of magic out of their butt and just hit you with a banger, and you're like, now it completely shifts everything.
Yeah.
Next group, massive group for this pod. England. Are we going to run through everybody? I mean, we'll mainly talk about their squad, how they're going to look in terms of formation and whatnot, and who's going to get most of the playing time. But, I mean, how many guys are in here that aren't
there's only
Premier League? Just two?
There's three.
Three?
Which is actually the most since in the past 16 years or something. Or
I believe that.
24 years or something
it's
crazy.
It's Bellingham and Sancho and then Trippier. That's right.
Yep.
I forgot about Trippier. And he'll probably be a decently important piece for England.
Yeah, so starting off in the goalkeepers, we have Dean Henderson, Johnston, who probably won't play, and Pickford. So it's kind of between Pickford and Henderson.
I'd suspect I'd go Pickford.
Yeah, definitely.
You know who I'd go, but
right. I mean, it's thinking back to the success that England had in the World Cup. I think Southgate is the kind of guy who likes his guys, and Pickford is definitely one of those guys.
We'll back him because he's been there before and he's produced.
Yeah, he's been in big games. Also, I mean, I don't have a problem with it because I think he's been in big games, and Dean Henderson,
he hasn't.
And when you're content to sit on the bench at Manchester United instead of going to a different team and playing week in, week out, I think that says something.
That's fair. I mean, we've seen it before with guys kind of hold on just because they're with a prestigious club rather than go to a different team. And sometimes, the bigger move away to a smaller club doesn't always pan out. And it's like, oh, maybe you should have stayed. But who knows? I mean, I would say they're of the same caliber almost. I'd say Henderson might be a little better talent-wise, but since Pickford has the experience, he's more comfortable given he's played for England, been in the big moments.
He's a leader.
Yeah, you'd probably go with Pickford. Moving on to the defense, Trent Alexander-Arnold, we'll get to him in a second. Chilwell, Connor Cody, which I don't feel great about for him. I know he probably won't play first choice, I wouldn't think. Reece James, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kyle Walker, and then, of course, Kieran
Yeah, so
Trippier.
The big thing to note in this one is the 4 right backs, which, of course, not anymore because Alexander-Arnold is out, but the decision to go with 4 right backs kind of weird. It was kind of like
it's almost like a FIFA tier thing where you're building your team because you like these players and you're like, we'll figure it out later.
It almost seemed like the writing was on the wall that Alexander-Arnold wasn't going to get picked, and there was just going to be so much backlash.
Yeah, that he had
that
to
he was
pick him.
Almost like a must pick. But now it's fixed because he got hurt. I mean, I'm not that crazy on him in the national team, anyways.
He definitely fits better with Liverpool than the national team, but
yeah, I more prefer a guy like
Walker,
going.
But that's because you're a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And City, I suppose.
I mean, I think they got solid players here. Someone who has been criticized for being picked would be Tyrone Mings. But I kind of like the qualities he brings. Aston Villa without him looked much worse, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Even though he did have some errors, wasn't always the sharpest. He definitely improved this year from past years. And he does solidify their backline. I would say he's their best, maybe second best. Matty Target might be their best, just general defender. But as far as center backs, he's Villa's best. I don't think it's too crazy. I'd rather have Tyrone Mings in there than Connor Cody. Connor Cody does nothing for me.
I don't have a problem with Connor Cody. I like both those guys because I think they're both leaders. And then Harry Maguire, John Stones. I mean, you got a lot of quality. Luke Shaw, Reece James even. We'll see who's selected at left back, Chilwell or
I would suspect Chilwell. Over Shaw.
Chilwell's another one of those kind of Southgate guys.
He's
performed
for sure
in the past. But I do like Luke Shaw as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he might get a starter too.
Yeah, I mean, they have enough depth to where they could just go with the proverbial hot hand. If they, like, one guy comes on subbed and does well, they might just stick with him. Midfield. This
is the area I'm worried about for England.
Really? I wouldn't say it's their strong point, but I like the midfield. Henderson, Mount, Phillips, Rice, Bellingham. I think you have a lot of quality. Not the most attacking minded. If Mount's, whatever reason, gets hurt, they're going to be struggling to kind of get someone to facilitate it forward for him. I mean, Bellingham can. It's just a matter of he's pretty young on a big stage, so we'll see. But, I mean, hey, he's young and scored on a big stage against City for Dortmund.
My main thing is that these are quality players, but I don't think they have the depth here. I mean, a lot of emphasis is going to be on Jordan Henderson, who hasn't played for the last 8 weeks of the season or something. So you're hoping that he's fully fit.
I think, I mean, dude, they start off with Croatia. I don't even remember, but they do. So you'd probably want Henderson for that. But I was going to say, in the rest of the group, you could probably get away with Phillips and Rice. They're good enough quality against Scotland and the Czech Republic.
I heard that Henderson is going to be involved in their friendly against Romania.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll see how he's.
So it sounds like he should be good to go. But I'm just worried, is there enough creative options here? Like you say, if Mount goes down.
It's mainly going to be on Bellingham.
And then if Henderson isn't fully fit, then you might miss that.
Maybe even we'll get to the forwards, but you could always, worst case scenario is have Foden. I mean, he was kind of more of like he was a forward in the sense he was kind of more out wide, and then even at times he's kind of like a false 9 in a way for him, but he can be a 10 if you need him to be. Same with Grealish, but it's not the most ideal.
And I also think another versatile player will be Saka, who can play kind of any position almost. He can play fullback, he can play centrally, he can play on the wing. So definitely.
I mean, he's a younger guy, so we'll see how he does in the tournament as well. He did score the other day. He did score. But, friendly's a little different from the Euros.
That's true.
The forwards, pretty loaded. I'll start off with the main guy, Harry Kane. Some depth provided behind him with Calvert-Lewin and Rashford. Obviously, Premier League quality players right there. They've proven it. Foden and Grealish, kind of a little more, what Tommy Tuchel might call a hybrid forward. I guess they're not quite they can be a little further back, but yet they can go forward. More of a wing presence. And speaking of wing presence, Saka, Sancho, Sterling. It'll be interesting to see, I would say, how Sterling does, Because there's something to, you might have had a rough year, or you might have had a great year, and then you come to an international tournament, and then your form completely flips. We've seen it before.
Yeah, I think he's the thing I worry about most for England, is he's had a poor season with Man City, and he's another one of those Southgate guys, so he's likely to start, but I think there's better guys available to play. I mean, for me, the ideal front three would probably be Foden, Kane, and Rashford.
I see. I would probably go with Kane, Foden, and then Sancho.
I'm not big on Sancho.
He can provide a lot going forward in terms of getting the ball to Kane by getting past the defense, attracting, soaking in the other defenders, freeing up other attackers. But I mean, there's times where he's gone cold. He's really hot and cold. In the second half of the year in the Bundesliga, he was very, very good for Dortmund. So we'll see. And plus, he's got to play well, because if he's not playing well, why is United going to pay $100 million for him?
Yeah.
There's a lot riding on him. So it's almost like a contract year kind of thing, but it's going to be a massive tournament for him to prove his worth and say, for people to be like, all right, Sancho's the real deal.
Speaking on guys like Sancho, I wonder what it'll be like for England. They have a team that's got a lot of inexperienced guys coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So will that show in their play?
I think it will. They might be sloppy at
mistakes.
times, yeah. I think for sure. I'm a little nervous with this team, not because of the talent, not because of the management, the expectations. It's a lot riding on these young guys that haven't achieved anything quite yet. And, I mean, at least with this England team, it does kind of feel like they're all a little closer in age, and it's not like kind of separate generations like they've had for past years. So there might be a little more, I guess, chemistry and cohesion to play together, but I don't know. A lot of their better players are so young and inexperienced. Like, who would you say their most experienced guy is?
I was
Kane?
just going to say, there's not that one guy, that one like Yilmaz guy that's like kind of a legend and in the team more as a leader. There's no one that kind of old in that regard.
Yeah.
But there definitely are leaders, and I think that'll help the more inexperienced guys having these quality leaders in defense.
Yeah, Kane, Henderson, Maguire, I mean, and even Pickford, and so, I mean, there's plenty of guys, but it's still, the overwhelming majority are very inexperienced. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they'll be good, I'm sure, but
yeah, I mean,
there's that little bit of wiggle room for it's like, oh, it's not quite as good as we thought it'd be.
They might England it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm biased because this is the team I'm going to be rooting for, but I think they have a good shot at winning the whole thing.
I think they are in the Italy group of, if it's the right day, their form's clicking, the other team might not be. They can knock off anybody.
Yeah, if football's coming home.
Yes. All right. Moving on. Croatia.
A little bit of a rematch here from the World Cup.
Yeah.
Semifinal.
Is there anyone who really sticks out to you about this squad?
I think the big thing about this squad is that there's been a turnover of players from the World Cup. There's guys that aren't in this squad that were there and were key players. Subasic, Karluka, Rakitic, and Mandzukic. Definitely quality players that were important in that squad.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously, they'll still have Modric and Brozovic still. Perisic has always been a big guy. Kramaric is their main guy going forward. The only Premier League player, Kovacic, he'll get in there. He'll rotate in. Their defense doesn't feel as strong to me as past years. I wouldn't say it's like bottom half of the tournament or anything, but it's not quite as strong as past years. But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of shakeup with Croatia relative to past years.
Yeah, I think, like you say, the defense will be the area where they may be exposed at. Overall, in the midfield, they have quality. A guy like Perisic in there, Kovacic, Modric.
And they're going to be expecting whenever you have older guys out the door, newer guys in, they're going to expect these newer guys to step up. I think one guy that they might require to step up would probably be Brekalo going forward, Bundesliga player, and he's shown moments where he's been pretty good at Wolfsburg, but
not much in terms of the Premier League though in this squad.
No,
so
not quite.
Next, the third of the British Isles teams that have qualified for this tournament. Unfortunately, no Northern Ireland or Republic of Ireland.
It's messed up.
We're talking about Scotland here, boys. Scotland. What do you think of Scotland?
They're kind of it's kind of a laugh at them because they're so bad, kind of meme over the last few years. But, they're in the tournament. They do have quality. A lot of it feels like it's more defensive with Robertson, Tierney mainly. They have Liam Cooper as well. He's shown that he can play. Grant Hanley of Norwich. We talked about how Norwich needs to get a new center back in. He's one of the reasons why I don't really rate him. For the midfield, Billy Gilmore at Chelsea. Younger player. I wonder if I'm sure they'll find someone to loan him to next year, but it'll be interesting to see who. McTominay, Stuart Armstrong, John McGinn, all very solid Premier League players. Fleck, probably one of, if not the best player on Sheffield, and definitely was an important player for their season. That was actually good.
Midfield. I like it. I like McTominay. I like Armstrong. I like McGinn. They were all quality players for the teams. McTominay and McGinn, they're solid, and then Stuart Armstrong can get something going forward.
Stuart Armstrong is your primary attacking mid. Might be a little rough at times. It is Scotland, so you can't expect too much, but it's not a bad team. They're definitely not the worst one, I'd say. And then they got Fraser and Che Adams as well.
Che McAdams.
So, I don't know. They're not a bad team. They have some Premier League quality. And, they're obviously going to have the best guys from Celtic and stuff. Celtic are obviously not as strong as years past. It's not all that great, but...
And their average cap's 17.2, which is the least of any team in the tournament. So, inexperienced side. Something I look forward to is the match against England, though. That'll be a good time.
That's gonna be good.
That'll be a little rowdy.
Well, they're gonna sit back. It's just a matter of if their forwards can take advantage, going forward, and that's why I don't even think the midfield's going to be super, super important for them, because it's going to be a lot of just long balls forward, and it's going to be how well they can defend and if the attackers can take their chances. But, we'll see about Scotland. And then we got the Czech Republic to round out the group.
Main players from the Premier League being Soufal from West Ham and also Soucek, again from West Ham. Another West Ham target, Alex Král. So
Král.
It might as well be West Ham.
This could
Republic.
Be so. This is I was gonna try and do Vibes Republic.
The Vibes Republic, yes.
The Vibes Republic.
Except you got to throw in some Z's in there or something.
Yeah, well, the Z from Czech would be thrown on at the end of Vibes.
Vibes, something like that.
Shootfall, great year. Soucek, amazing year. Up for Player of the Year. I was surprised by that, not because he didn't deserve it or anything. I'm just surprised when unsung hero guys like him actually get their due. Obviously, he didn't win it, but...
Yeah, it's kind of just by being named as one of the candidates, that's like an
important
award in itself.
Yeah, exactly. Going forward, Patrick Schick, he had moments for Leverkusen, wasn't really doing it for Roma. I don't know what they're gonna do going forward.
Oh, I didn't even highlight this. Burnley's finest, Vidra.
Oh, Vidra, yeah.
That might be rough, relying on him if you're looking for goals.
Yeah, probably one of the least efficient guys in the Premier League. There's not much to say, only because I can't fancy them really doing a whole lot. Now this is where they'll prove me wrong, but the only friendly they had was against Italy, and they got absolutely just dominated. All three Italy's front three scored, and then Barella scored for Italy too. So yeah, it might be a little long term for the Czech Republic.
So how do you see this group ending up?
England 1, Croatia 2. I guess Scotland 3, the Czech Republic 4. I mean, I just don't trust. It really comes down to who do you trust more to get a goal, Scotland or Czech Republic, and I just have a hard time deciphering which one. What makes me consider it is that the Czech Republic at least have really good quality Premier League players, but they only have 2.
Yeah,
We know what Scotland has. It's not amazing players, but they have serviceable players, and then they have Andy Robertson. So,
whoa. Okay, let's back that up a little bit. Disrespecting my boy Tierney.
Oh,
Scotland's problem is that their best 2 players are left backs.
that's true.
So,
But I mean, Tierney can kind of slot in as a center back. I mean, that's more if it's a back 3,
right.
which, I mean, they're going to be playing a back 5.
yeah.
So you might as well just throw.
Yeah,
him
he
in.
does play like a left-sided center back.
But then you know what you do if you're the other team? You go to the right side.
Oh, how could anyone conceive of this? Yeah,
I don't know.
For me, though, it's going to be England, Croatia, Czech Republic, Scotland. I would love it if it was England and Scotland, though. That's my dream.
That'd be funny. That'd be pretty funny. Moving on, second to last group, who we got for Spain.
Spain,
This
yeah.
is one of those teams, before we get into it, I think people will just kind of overrate right away just because of they have talent, yes. They have managerial experience, yes. But
They have a World Cup win in the past
yeah.
12 years, 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't even about the last World Cup where they got knocked out early in the round of 16 by Russia. I mean, this just mainly falls. And who knows? Maybe they don't even go with them up top, but they kind of just feel almost like Chelsea in a way, where it's like their squad's so deep, so much talent, and then it comes down to Alvaro Morata, and you're like, oh god, this could all go so wrong. I would be surprised if at some point they just don't go with Gerard Moreno in the year he had in La Liga as one of the top scorers.
Wasn't Oyarzabal? He had a good year as well. I mean,
yeah, he's more of a. I always feel like he's more of a. He can be out wide. He can do both.
Okay,
but I feel like he's more of a wide.
He's been linked with
player.
Arsenal at times.
He's a good player, I think, for Sociedad. I mean, they finished, I want to say 5th or 6th this year. So,
you know my favorite thing about this. So, goalkeepers, we have David De Gea and Robert Sanchez.
Yes.
The rumors are that Robert Sanchez is going to be the starting goalkeeper for Spain, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, I know that they have the Bilbao keeper, and he, from the little that I've seen, has been pretty good. He had a very good game against Portugal, I would say. Made some important saves. So I might even go with him, but I don't... De Gea, he's had issues with Spain. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't use De Gea for that reason, but...
I would.
I mean, you might say that Sanchez is more informed than De Gea. I would. So I don't think it's that crazy to put Sanchez over De Gea. But if it was up to me, I'd probably go with Simon. Unai Simon.
I'm going with Robert Sanchez.
Bobby Sanchez.
Bobby Sanchez with the Brighton swag. Moving on to defenders, recently switched Laporte.
Yes, Laporte.
From France.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Garcia, Diego Llorente from Leeds, and then Dave Azpilicueta from Chelsea.
They have so much quality in defense, and we haven't even got to the non-Premier League players. Jose Gaya is so good. I would love to see that guy in the Premier League. Unfortunately, it'd probably be for Man City. I mean, Pau Torres has been rumored with Man U as a center back. He's good. I don't know if they necessarily need him unless you're going to look to replace Lindelof and just have a Lindelof slot into more of a rotational guy. Because he's better than Lindelof, but I don't know if they'd play him over Lindelof right away. Just given how Man U's defense look this year, they'd probably just roll with the same lineup, at least early on in the year. But going forward, midfield, Rodri, massive player this year in the Premier League for Man City. And then Thiago, an important player for Liverpool, given how many injuries they had. I think they played him a little more than they thought they'd have to. They have some attacking players in midfield, and Dani Olmo and Sarabia. But they have a lot of well-rounded players, I would say, and that just goes with Rodri and Thiago. But Koke, Fabian from Napoli, who will probably get a big move. Llorente on Atletico, and of course Busquets, the legend himself. They also have a younger player in Pedri, who's a little more attacking-minded, but.
And more forward players being Ferran Torres of Man City and Adama Traore of Wolves. Be interesting to see Traore in this team.
They're going to let him dribble the whole time.
He's not really kind of like your typical Spain
player.
Pass. You know, he's more of a direct player.
Yeah, he's on the ball, and he's going to try and get himself in space to create a chance for teammates. But that might go well with Moreno. Like I said, what it comes down to for this team, I just really worry about Morata being their main attacker if they do decide to go that way. Is there anything else that stands out to you? No Real Madrid players.
Yeah, no Real Madrid players. How crazy is that?
That's nuts. And it's not even like they're having a downtime. They went to the semis of the Champions League.
Yeah.
So
weird.
Crazy times. But moving on to the next one. This is one of your favorite teams you always liked.
Yeah, I like to keep an eye on them, keep track of them. Sweden. Robin Olsen in net, another Everton goalkeeper. Defenders, Lindelof has played a lot for Man U this season. He's looked better.
For sure.
I think they could do better than him, but he's a solid player when it comes to a team like Sweden. And then Emil Kraft, not
Newcastle.
A great player.
No,
honestly.
He's not my favorite Newcastle player, to say the least, as a man who loves Newcastle.
And then Pontus Janssen for Brentford, formerly of Leeds, star of
Take Me Home Leeds.
Take Me Home Leeds, yeah.
Great show. Just with those few guys, I like Robin Olsen. He was good at Copenhagen, went to Rome, didn't play a ton. I think he'll be a nice little piece for Sweden. It's always interesting to see guys that are forced to play a bigger role for their national team, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy is good, and then he's just not quite good enough to play like a bigger club, and then you're like, oh man, maybe I was wrong. But I think he's a solid player. Like you're saying about Lindelof, you could make the case that if Man U has the standards of being one of, if not the best teams in the Premier League, yeah, Lindelof probably isn't good enough to be the second choice. He would probably be the third choice, and you rotate him in European competitions and domestic cup competitions and stuff. But Janssen, he played for Brentford this year. I don't think he was their first or second choice center back, but important rotation piece and an important leader. I think that'll be a note.
A guy I like in the defense is Ludwig Augustinsson, the fullback. Plays for Werder Bremen. He's definitely got some quality going forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Moving on to midfielders, Premier League
Legend?
recently promoted, Watford, Ken Sema.
I thought we were talking Seb Larson.
Seb Larson, one of my favorite players. I mean, he was never amazing, but great for the free kicks on Sunderland. Good times.
Yeah, they have good pieces in midfield, and Forsberg going forward. Albin Ekdal of this team right here. Guys, I have a Sampdoria kit on for my love for Italy in this competition.
And then Alexander Isaac.
Yeah, Isak. He's more of just a 9. I don't know, because this is off the official
I think this was from The Athletic, but
that's so weird. He's a 9. He's a straight up 9.
It's probably just how they submitted the squads. Honestly,
yeah,
but
I suppose. And then they have Kulusevski listed as an attacker. I mean, he's kind of a wing, but I mean, Juventus, he's a little further back only because they have so many forward options. So, but when he was at Parma, he was more of a wing. Robbie Quaison, the leading goal scorer for Mainz ever in the Bundesliga somehow. Jordan Larson, solid player. How about Mr. Jens? Mr. Jens.
Yeah, from
Kahuste from Midtjylland.
I think it's pronounced Midtjylland or something.
Yeah, well.
So all you Midtjylland fans out there, you can rest easy.
Yeah, we got it.
One of us knows how to say it.
Yes.
Or attempts to. Yeah. But just an interesting stat. They're the second oldest side in this tournament. Might help to their advantage, having leaders like Seb Larson.
Yeah, I think so. With teams that don't have the most talent, I think having a lot of experience will definitely help out more so than...
I got to say, the guy I am missing on this side is, of course, Ibrahimovic.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him play so bad, but unfortunately, he's been dealing with injuries in the last year. And
he's doing his own thing. He's doing Zlatan things out here.
Yeah.
There'll be a little sneaky side.
Yeah, I could see him sneaking in there, maybe second.
And then we got Poland. Fabianski, of course, as the keeper. They'll probably start Szczesny, I would guess.
I would think so.
But as far as defenders, Jan Bednarek of Southampton will be the main Premier League player for them. Matthias Klich of Leeds, along with Jakob Moder, and there's even a Norwich player, Przemysław Plaqueta.
Yeah.
How about that? How about that pronunciation?
A for effort. I didn't think you were going to go for it, but you did.
No, I did.
Like that.
The thing with Poland is a lot of their guys, their main quality doesn't come from the Premier League. They do have Premier League talent, and they're all right, but their main guys, it's going to be Zielinski, obviously Lewandowski, Milik if they want to get him in there, Szczesny, former Arsenal man, and then even, I know he's a little older, but in the past he's been good for him, is Glick, formerly of Torino, now in Monaco. But yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of turnover the last couple of years too, in terms of getting guys out and then in. A little younger.
I think Poland gets overrated as a squad just because Lewandowski is so good, and then they kind of like meh.
Yeah, there's not, because when you look at their midfield, their best attacking guy, I guess Zielinski, and he's not even really. He's better suited just as like an 8. He's not even like a 10, I'd say, but.
I think there's a chance for Moder to make a name for himself in this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. He showed flashes at Brighton. Not always attacking plays for Brighton, but just in general, ball winning, keeping possession. Good player.
Yeah, not too much else to say about Poland. Moving on to Slovakia, there are 2 Premier League players being Dubravka and Rodak, which I saw they're not even taking Rodak anymore, so...
That's messed up.
Yeah.
I just set my cup down.
R.I.P.
We had the Slovak keepers match off in the final match week of the Premier League, and then they have the audacity to say, well, since Fulham lost, no.
Absolute disrespect. I mean, to be fair, he did win the duel. I mean, Newcastle won, so he gets the spot. So
I suppose that's fair.
You know?
As far as their players, a lot of they're honestly kind of scattered throughout Europe. They have a few Serie A guys, but a lot of Belgium and Sweden league players, even some guys in the Bundesliga. Unfortunately, just not a whole lot of Premier League players. I mean, their best player is going to be Skriniar. I mean, he's a world-class defender for Inter Milan, but, you know, it's not a whole lot.
Are they going to have to rely on, 50-year-old Hamsik in the midfield to boost them to glory?
Super old? I thought he wasn't.
Oh, yeah, he's old. He's at least 35.
Let's see this.
Plays for Göteborg.
I know, he's over there now. He's 33.
33, 35,
it's because
50. It's the same
It's because
thing.
he made the early move to China, I think, is what's throwing you off.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I don't know why. He was still, twilight of his peak.
I wonder why. China. I wonder why anyone would go to China. I mean, it's definitely not because they pay them millions and millions of dollars. Definitely not.
Yes. Goal scoring probably won't be their bright spot, but they definitely have some guys. Bozanek for Feyenoord he's had moments. And the little that I've watched of the Eredivisie, the 1 or 2 games I watch a year. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty tough group for Slovakia.
Yeah.
That's the only issue I have with it, is it's just a tough group.
Yeah, I would put them as last for sure.
Yeah, I would probably go. I'm so tempted to say Sweden 1.
Oh.
But I'm not. I'm going to go Spain 1.
Yeah, Spain.
Sweden 2, Poland 3. I don't like that
Slovakia,
it's going chalk.
You don't even get a.
Hey,
you don't even get fourth. they're gone before the end of the group stage.
Yes. Speaking of tough groups, this one's kind of tough. What'd you say?
This is the group of death, I believe.
Oh, it is. It's 100% is. France, Germany, Hungary, Portugal.
Yes.
Who are we starting off with?
Portugal. Oh, sorry. No, we're starting off with Hungary.
All right. Well, that
just get a little teaser of what's to come. I mean, the team that will be instant dead in this group is Hungary.
Yeah, but the only thing is you're not considering Liverpool legend Adam Bogdan as
that's true.
keeper. Do they have any Premier League guys?
No, I don't believe so. Also, they're missing out on one of their big attacking pieces.
From Leipzig.
Szoboszlai, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Too many S's, too many Z's. Yeah, I think it's just kind of a given that they're going to finish last in this group.
Yeah, it's pretty rough for them. So we're not even gonna really touch on them. Sorry.
Yeah, not much. Sorry, all you Hungarians.
Yeah,
you'll be left hungry.
They should
for
have
content in this
what's
podcast.
his name, Zoltan Zara. They should just bring him back, the West Brom legend. He's probably 40 now.
Yeah,
bring him in. First of the main three, Portugal. We got Rui Patricio, who he started in their game against Spain, and he looked good. He played well. Rumored to Rome. We'll see what happens. They do have other quality keepers. Anthony Lopez of Lyon and Rui Silva. Granada had a good year. This year was okay. Last year, the year before, was also pretty solid. As far as their defense, both fullbacks, Cancelo, Semedo, going forward, will be very, very good for them.
Premier League Player of the Year, Ruben Diaz from Manchester City, will be at the heart of their defense.
This is a main piece. So much experience with Font and Pepe.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they even have other quality guys. I mean, Mendes from Portugal. They list Guerrero as a defender. He's kind of, I guess he's a wingback. I would say at times he's played more of just a midfield role for Portugal, but moving on to the midfield, Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes and João Moutinho of the Premier League category, of the Premier League variety for you. Massive players, not only for Portugal, but for their teams. Ruben Neves is such an important player for Wolves. Bruno Fernandes, obviously a Player of the Year candidate for Man U, and the primary reason that they finished second. And then João Moutinho on Wolves, also an important guy. One of those guys, he won't put up stats or anything, but just really important in facilitating the ball around his teammates and really pulls the strings.
Yeah, he's a quality player. Strong midfield for the defending champs.
And you can't even rule out the non-Premier League guys. Renato Sanchez, the
formerly on Swansea
and Bayern Munich, the resurgence. He's really found it in Lille. Sergio Oliveira has been rumored to move in Serie A. Had a great season for Porto. He had that goal against Juventus in the Champions League, knocked him right out. And then former Arsenal rumor mill man himself, William Carvalho.
Yeah, he was actually rumored for quite a few seasons, and it never ended up turning into anything.
Yeah, it honestly might have. I don't know if he would be Arsenal or Tottenham quality, the main teams he's rumored to. We went to Betis, and everyone's like, wow, really? I don't know. That's crazy. That's a great signing. And he's just been serviceable for him. It's nothing too...
I don't think he's
amazing, but
that quality, but...
We know it is quality. It's Portugal's attack.
Oof.
You want to go through?
Yeah, so for Premier League players, we have Bernardo Silva and Diego Jota. Jota having a pretty decent first season at Liverpool. He's been impactful.
I would say he was their second best, threat going forward behind Salah. Only because Mane was a little out of form this year, same with Firmino. I think in general you'd probably rate at least Mane over Jota, but I've given this year...
I think I'd go Salah, Mane, Jota, but I think
in general I would too.
Mane and Jota were kind of level almost.
I would say that the thing is that Jota was more efficient, whereas Mane is kind of wasteful.
I like Diogo Jota way more as a player than Mane personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just style-wise. Bernardo Silva, did you see that rumor that Man City might be able, or not be able, but open to selling him?
Yeah, I saw that. I can't remember which team it was too, but
I didn't see that there's a specific team. It was just like in general. It's like in order to facilitate more of a rebuild, but
yeah, I saw that.
He's not. I think people thought he would be more of a guy who gets assists and goals. Whereas we were just talking about João Moutinho. You can have such a massive role going forward for your team without getting goals and assists and just facilitating the ball to other people. But this team, they have a lot more quality going forward. Andre Silva, one of the better strikers in the Bundesliga for Eintracht Frankfurt. Guedes, who's had his moments for Valencia, has been rumored to move to Serie A, I believe. Could be wrong about that. João Felix, massive signing for Atletico a few years back, has shown the potential for sure.
Yeah.
And then we got
Cristiano Ronaldo. Go.
I was going to go Rafa Silva. But there's also Mr. Ronaldo.
CR9. Potentially playing in his last Euros, I would think.
I would think so,
too. He'd be like 42 or something.
Yeah, I would say that this is his last go-around.
Or 40.
It'd be pretty interesting if he somehow got a second major trophy, what that would mean for him. Even though last
he was like a
play
coach.
In the final. Yeah. It was all, he just got hard carried by what's his name? Gomes.
Yeah.
And who was the other Swansea guy? The guy who scored the winner. Oh, what was his name?
He was a pure legend, absolute legend.
This has to be looked up right now, live on the pod.
Adair.
Yes, Adair. You got it. You beat me to it.
The unlikely hero of the tournament, Adair.
If you had to rank them amongst the contenders, where would you put them? Top 5 and more like 5th? Or more like top 7, kind of like 7-ish.
I would put them as maybe 4th.
That's how I feel. I like the way they play. I like their talent. They've done it before. A lot of different guys, but they still have the experience.
Yeah, I think I'd go France 1.
We'll get to it at the end of recapping.
I don't want to say
top
you're going to make fun of me who I picked for number 2, but
You're gonna pick Poland.
Hungary.
Anything else you want to touch on before we move on to other teams in the group?
No, there'll just be maybe a little more pressure. They're defending champs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like there will be pressure for that, but I feel like unless you're actually really into it, they'll just be heavy favorites of the public only because they have Ronaldo. But
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people underrate the quality they have besides Cristiano Ronaldo. Next up, defending World Cup winners.
And
somehow not the betting favorites. England's the betting favorite. I don't know how.
Right. Well, that's just because football is coming home. So
that's probably just because they
as.
know that they can get people to bet on England.
Yeah,
also.
for sure. I mean, it's just people betting down in England.
Yeah. But that doesn't matter because we all know that France is the most talented team.
Yeah.
Starting off, Hugo Lloris, massive player for Tottenham. Mandanda's still holding on to his place in the squad. Crystal Palace legend. And then they got the Lille keeper, Mike Mahine. I'm always terrible with French. Magnan. I'm terrible with French. That's the worst names.
Oui.
But he's on Milan now after helping Lille seal a victory in the Ligue 1 campaign. As far as their defenders,
I was just going to say Hugo Lloris getting up there in age, 35.
yeah, it'll probably be Magnan who takes over.
Yeah.
But even after that, I mean, Magnan, he's not...
How many times can we say Magnan?
Now that we figured it out, we're going to say it over and over. But now we're really good. You unlocked it. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, even for Tottenham, I don't know how many more years he has left. But
yeah, I think he could be replaced either next season or the season after for sure.
Absolutely. Defenders of the Premier League are going to be Digne and Zuma. Probably won't get in there that much. They have so much quality in other spaces, but Digne might get in probably more so than Zuma. I'd be shocked if Zuma's playing.
I could see Digne
much unless he gets subbed on just to hold a lead. But do you want to walk through?
Yeah, midfielders. I mean, world class. N'Golo Kante. He's amazing. He's all over the place.
Wrong answer.
We saw him in
the
the Champions League final. And then Paul Pogba, of course, he's been a mainstay in the French midfield. Weird scenario at Man U. Hasn't played his best, but I think he looks pretty good for the French national team.
He fits in better with them.
And then, like you said, Moussa Sissoko, for some reason, he's one of those coaches' picks.
Oh, yeah, Deschamps.
Like, really he shouldn't be in this team.
Loves him some Sissoko.
Another guy I was surprised was Tolisso.
Yeah. He does perform well for France. I mean, that's why he got the move to Bayern, but yeah, he definitely wasn't killing it for Bayern. Rabiot had his moments for PSG. I feel like he's hasn't had as great a years as in the past, but as far as attacking, Oli Giroud.
He's the lone ranger of the Premier League strikers.
Yeah, their attacking options so good. Benzema has been amazing for Madrid this year, and will more than likely just carry it into the Euros and keep bagging goals for him. Mbappe, without saying, he's probably 1 and 2 with Haaland as the best young player in the world, poised to take over for Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah, Mbappe definitely best striker probably.
And then they have Griezmann, who had an amazing Euros last time around.
Yeah, he was really star of the show.
Since then, he's kind of fallen out of form compared to what he had done previously with Atletico, and then that tournament with France. His move to Barca has been rocky at times, but I mean, when you're around other quality guys, sometimes that'll open you up and just free up enough, and that'll be enough to get you the confidence.
And he's a guy that Deschamps really knows how to use.
True.
It's kind of like Olivier Giroud. Is like he's not the most amazing player, but he was such a vital piece in the World Cup.
Yeah, they're just guys who contribute a lot to winning.
But it'll be interesting to see now that Benzema is back how that impacts things.
Yeah, because he's clearly in form, the best of the bunch right there for the nines. They have a bunch of wing options. Marcus Thuram, Kingsley Coman, Ben Yedder. I guess Ben Yedder's more of, I would say, a 9, but you get the point. Thomas Lemar and Ousmane Dembele, who also has had a rocky go at Barca.
Yeah. A lot of options, though, going forward for France. It's going to be scary to face against.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enemy team, opposing team.
You're an enemy team. This is actual war we have going on out here.
I mean, imagine you're a defender and you got to go up against that French attack. That's kind
First
of
off, imagine you're a defender and you walk out there and you see Moussa Sissoko and you know your day is done. It's done and dusted. You already lost.
That's true.
We talked about how they're the favorites. They have one of the best managers, most talent. I don't know. Is it too obvious to pick them to win?
I just wonder if there's a lot of pressure on France because everyone is saying they're the clear favorite.
Yeah.
So,
well, was it the under-21 tournament that just happened not too long ago, and everyone's like, look at this France team.
Yeah,
and they had
stacked.
like a ton of, they were so loaded, and then they lost in the round of like 8.
Yeah, I definitely could see France faltering in this tournament.
Yeah, it could happen.
I don't know why, but
I
it
wouldn't
just
bet
seems
on
like
it,
it could happen.
Yeah. I think part of it is Griezmann is not as good as he was during past tournaments, and Pogba. Those guys have been so massive for them, but
yeah, I think the midfield looks a little shallow.
Yeah, it's the creative play. It's there, but it's not the best in terms of attacking. Pogba can like buy space and stuff, and he can deliver great passes, but you wouldn't say he's more attacking minded than defensive minded or anything. So
yeah, I mean,
they don't just have like a 10, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Also, I think they should be worried about is N'Golo Kante has struggled with injuries towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
he happened to get injured and they didn't have him, I mean,
it's not like Tolisso is a terrible player or anything, but the drop off from N'Golo Kante to him would be just crazy. So yeah, I feel like it feels a little too cut and dry for France.
We'll see.
Yeah. Moving on.
Deutschland über alles. Kind of a weird situation Germany has going in. I mean, we all know Jogi Löw leaving after this tournament, and it's just weird when you have a manager you know is leaving, but you're still playing for him. The results have been pretty awful lately.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's one of those things. I think he just stayed a little past his welcome. In terms of he started moving guys out of the squad that really rubbed some people the wrong way, to say the least.
Yeah.
A lot of experienced guys, a little too much toward the youth movement, a little too quickly. They definitely have quality, obviously. We'll get to the Premier League players here real quick. We'll run through them. Bernd Leno, obviously starting. Bernd Leno, backup keeper to Manuel Neuer. Kevin Trapp, third choice. Robin Koch and Antonio Rudiger as the main Premier League defenders in this squad, but they won't be. I mean, Rudiger might be playing a good amount, but
yeah, it'll probably be
I don't know.
Hummels
He's not picked over
Sula.
Yeah, Hummels and Sula by Jogi Löw. But if they have leads, they're gonna put him on to hold the lead. I mean, that's what he can do. So, as far as midfield, Gundogan and Havertz.
Gundogan coming in mid-form or
mid-season form.
Mid-season form. He's had the best season of his career coming into this tournament.
I mean, goal-wise, yes. Best year at Man City, I'd say.
For sure.
That's fair to say. Can, Gnabry, who's obviously going to be their main catalyst. Look for a big tournament from him. Goretzka, Hofmann, who's been rumored to Chelsea, had time at Dortmund with Tommy Tuchel. Kimmich, Kroos. What are we thinking here at this midfield?
Yeah, solid players. Guy like Kimmich, you're going to look for. He's a young player, but he's also a leader. Then you have a guy like Toni Kroos, World Cup winner. Gundogan has been playing great. Havertz, I don't know. We'll see. Goretzka, he's a quality player.
I think he'll be a little more suited with this because there's not going to be as much pressure on him because there's more talented guys around him. Not to mention, I always thought that he would come in and be like a 10 for them, or even like a 10 that's drifts a little more out wide, and them being Chelsea, obviously. I think that's more suited for him. This false 9 stuff that they were doing, I don't know. It didn't produce the best results. It produced the best results at the most important time of the year for him. But just in general, over and over, it didn't always look the best with him. A little more forward this time. Germany might be a little further back, which will suit him.
And then in attack, we have potentially the Premier League flop of the season, Timo Verner.
I would say so. But we got Müller will keep playing. They finally put him back in the team. Florian Neuhaus, he's kind of in that Gnabry kind of like attacking mid role for them. Sané, former Man City player, going to be drifting more out wide for them. Kevin Volland had a very nice year at Monaco, kind of just established himself as a very important player for them, along with Ben Yedder. That's why they push for Ligue 1. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Werner can maybe rekindle some of his form, because he's had moments for Germany where he hasn't looked all that great either. But yeah, I know that obviously
there's a lot of buzz about this attack for Germany because they don't have a real number 9, a traditional number 9 like a Miroslav Klose. I guess we'll see how it works out with guys like Gnabry and Müller and Werner, Havertz, how they line up with those kind of guys. How do you get the best out of all those guys?
Yeah.
And then
Löw has a lot on his hands for his last competition. It's kind of weird because he went more towards youth, got some of the older guys out of there, and then he's like, "Whoa, we'll bring them back in," and then now you're going to have to kind of adjust how you want to utilize all these guys. It'll be interesting. I think that I don't know. It's weird because I think a lot of people will say that Germany is still really good. A lot of people that aren't paying attention. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Traditionally, coming into a international competition, you would rate Germany as stiffly a top 4 team.
Yeah.
Are they a top 4 team in this tournament?
That's the thing, is on any given day they could be. They're in this Italy bracket. Maybe a notch below Italy and England, in my opinion. But they have the quality to where they could easily be in the semis. I wouldn't rule it out.
So for the moment we've all been waiting for, give me your Group F final standings. Go. Hungary in first.
Yes.
Everyone else in last.
France, Portugal, Germany, Hungary.
I'm going to go with France, Germany, Portugal.
That's fair.
I don't know if the magic will be there for Portugal again. I think they're kind of in like the Italy category.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I mean, it depends on Ronaldo, what kind of Ronaldo we get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot's going to go through him, and he's going to make sure it goes through him. So
He could hard carry, or he could just have like free kicks that hit a one-man Philip Lahm wall. That's my favorite
that's what
Ronaldo memory. That was in a World Cup, but
yeah, the 2014.
yeah, nonetheless.
So you want to give me your top 5 then? France, not Belgium, because of De Bruyne? I mean, it's only probably going to be like a game or two before he gets back into his groove,
for sure. I'm going to say France, England, Belgium, Italy, and then maybe Germany.
Yeah, it very well could be. I would definitely go France, and then I would go as number 2, and this is what's scary to me. I think I would go England on just the talent of the squad. 3rd, I would go Italy, only because I don't trust Belgium's defense, even though Martinez, I'm sure he'll work his magic and
that's
figure
a
out the
fair
way.
argument.
But Belgium 4, and then 5th, if we're just talking pure squads, I would have the Netherlands 5th.
Yeah, for sure.
But
It's like you want to put them up there, but then it's like,
you can't. It might be a tie between Germany and Spain, but I really don't even feel like great about those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, who else would you want to put in there?
It seems like there's a lot of teams that are just
Croatia's
on that,
Croatia's dipped off a bit. I think Denmark could maybe, they're a notch below though, talent-wise.
I think they're like
they could
top 10 maybe.
They could get results like that are better than Germany or Portugal or any of these teams, but I think that's basing a lot in like you're just expecting everything to kind of break right for them.
Yeah.
But
I think Denmark is like a top 12, top 10
I think
maybe.
5th, it would just be a tie between Portugal, Germany, and Spain. I'd give Portugal a slight edge. It's the 5th spot.
Yeah.
But it could go
It could go so many ways. I mean, after France,
it's really, you can make a case for like 6 teams.
Yeah.
So, is there any guy you think that could be a standout, really establish himself of the Premier League guys in this tournament?
I think Kane is going to have a big tournament.
Thank you very much for that.
I think
it
he's
means
just
a lot to me. The Premiership Pros always really so nice to me. They really rate me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just really looking forward to watching this England squad. This is the strongest English squad I've seen.
I want to see how, I think with England, the main thing I'll be watching for is how a couple of the guys that aren't on the biggest teams, and I got one in particular, really step up and play when the spotlight's on them. Mainly Grealish. He's going to be a really interesting player to watch for me, Jack Grealish.
Yeah, I think the guys I'm looking at are going to be Phillips and Rice in midfield. See how those guys do.
I think they're really going to hold up well. I would say, just going off this because I really rate Italy, one guy I'm really going to enjoy watching again is Barella. I mean, I catch Inter Milan games every once in a while, but I really enjoy watching him play. Such a class player. As far as the other big teams, Belgium, the main point I would touch on that is how effective, well, not how effective will De Bruyne be, but how much will this affect him, I suppose, this injury.
Yeah. That would be a big miss if he's out for...
Not even out, but just not the same guy in general. Like if he's just off. because of the injury. It could be.
Yeah, it's also been a long season. So, Champions League final.
Yeah, and then break your face.
Break your face.
Spain, again, we talked about Morata with that. I mean, Spain's like the perfect example of like why you're like, yeah, and then you're like, oh. And there's aspects like that with Germany and Italy and Portugal and stuff too. This is going to be such an interesting tournament to watch.
Yeah.
Because it could go so many ways.
I just hope it's better than 2016. 2016 group stages.
It's because teams were playing for draws.
Yeah, that was
it was so ridiculous.
Yeah,
I hope
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case.
But I mean, there's a lot of squads that have young players, young attacking players. Turkey, Wales.
Oh yeah, Turkey, Wales. Your team, North Macedonia.
North Macedonia. I'm excited. I really hope England can win this. I think it's time.
I would like that because there are a lot of likable guys in England, and their play style is very enjoyable to watch.
And it also kind of fits this, like, okay, Champions League, you have Man City and Chelsea, so all England, and then England wins
but they have
the
so
Euros.
many non-English
Yeah,
guys
that's
too,
true, but it's kind of like this English dominance continuing,
Fair enough.
which I enjoy as a fan of the Premier League.
Yeah, well, because we haven't really seen anything like that, because it's not like France has been probably the best international team for a little while now, but it's not like their league is dominating in Europe.
It's
I mean,
very
Lyon
interesting
made a semi, but
to think about how good France is compared to their national league, which is not very good. I mean,
apparently just not appealing to play there in terms of whether it be money or with the country.
How many guys do they have that are playing in the French league that aren't on PSG?
Ben Yedder. Yeah.
Not many.
That's the first one that comes to mind. I mean, Magnon was. Magnon. He's back.
Get some more Magnons.
Is there anyone that could, I guess, stand out, maybe make a move to the Premier League, a non-Premier League guy that if he does well?
I think Sabitzer.
Yeah.
I think he's already on teams' radar, but there may be like a bidding war.
There could be. There very well could be. And then it'll be interesting because I think maybe Leipzig even want to rebuild. We're not going to talk about the Bundesliga, but given where they're at, they might want to retool, listen to their manager and stuff. But
otherwise, like you said, Locatelli potentially could be a target.
I would love that man in the Premier League. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Real quick, winner.
Football's coming home, baby. England.
I'm going to go with the chalk pick and pick France. I don't feel good about it.
I think England 2-1 over France in the final.
I tried to look at the bracket and line everything up, but there's so much with the third places teams that can finish. It's hard to.
Yeah, that's true.
That
might not even be possible to happen. But
those are definitely, I would say, two of the best four teams.
Yeah.
Maybe in the top two.
I just love England. They have such a deep squad.
They do. When
you look at their previous squads, they had these guys who are just kind of like laughing stocks of players.
What are you talking about? Like
Phil Jags.
Phil Jags. I was thinking Glenn Johnson.
He's
actually not even that big of a meme for a little while, but still,
Joe Hart. These guys that are like decent players, but it's like if you want to be the best team in the world, they're not that. They're like mid-table Premier League players.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It'll definitely be interesting. They have the quality. They have the youth. Maybe the time's now for England. Maybe France assert their dominance. Maybe Portugal say, hey, this is our tournament.
Yeah,
we're
maybe.
We're the champs of this tournament. Might not be champs of the world, but we're champs of this tournament. And Germany says, hey, we're Germany.
9.
9.
Yeah, they could sneak in there. I mean, I'm sure domestically Germany has a lot of pressure to perform well, but I think most people have kind of written them off as winning this tournament outside of Germany.
Yeah. I mean, they have the talent. It's maybe the motivation's there to win it for Jogi Löw.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's true.
Well, is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up?
Nah, I just one final thing I was gonna say. England, this could be a good building step for the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You have these young guys and get them some big European competition experience.
Yeah,
Looks pretty good going into the World Cup.
you would say so. And you'd almost think that, I mean, France are so deep. I was going to say England might even be favorites for the World Cup again, but it'll probably be France and England duking it out as the favorite is.
Yeah, and then we'll see Belgium if they can capitalize on their golden generation or if they'll flounder it.
Yeah, it's
So.
all about the defense for them. So, well, we'll keep doing weekly pods on this, touching on the Euros, seeing how the Premier League players are still doing, seeing any surprises that pop up in terms of players or teams. And then we'll probably do some weekly roundups throughout the summer regarding rumors, any breaking news that may be occurring in the Premiership. But until next week,
It's been Lads on Tour,
Oh, yeah.
episode 1.
signing off.
Bye.